All right. Well, we welcome you to the call. As I said, we've got some famous gentlemen and ladies in here with Gordon Morton, one of XANGO founders, and Gary Hollister, and, of course, our very famous resident outhouse expert, I guess that is
We're network marketing, get right into vowels right away.
I love you. Well, we're so excited about the Mangosteen today, Gordon. So I think let's go ahead and Dr. Morton, you are an expert. We really are grateful for all of your information on what Mangosteen and all the studies. I always appreciate the ones that you send to me, of course. But let's talk a little bit about that. Are we going to do the testimonial first, or should we let that roll a bit?
Yes, just let that roll.
Okay, well, we'll let that roll. Why Mangosteen, Dr. Morton?
Great. Thank you, Beverly. I'm always excited to talk about mangosteen. It's one of my favorite things to discuss. And welcome everyone to the call. So I would like to first talk about why mangosteen. So what is it about it? So mangosteen's a botanical that's been used for a long time. And so most people are familiar now with this mangosteen. And because of this company, XANGO, that's why people are now familiar with it. Just this past weekend, my brothers, my dad, and I went to see Machu Picchu for a family vacation. And I had downloaded a couple of TV shows on my iPad to watch on the way home. And I'm watching this one. It was an apocalyptic show, of course. Zombies and stuff were in there somewhere. They always are. But I'm in this, and they showed a group of people, and they had this area, and this group of people were talking, and they were arguing, and I'm watching on the screen, and I'm looking, and I'm like, those are mangosteen. That's a mangosteen fruit. And there was a box of mangosteen. They kept talking up and tossed it in their hand and put it back in the box and pick it up. I'm like, I'm watching a television show on the plane, and they're showing mangosteen fruit.
Wow.
So many people are seeing this mangosteen fruit now, but mangosteen is new to us relatively in North America. It's really because of XANGO over the past decade that we know about it. But people have been using mangosteen traditionally for hundreds of years and even thousands of years. The earliest recorded use in paper dates back to the Ming Dynasty. It's in the 1400s, and it was a traditional medical text. What they describe taking the mangosteen fruit. They take the rind of this pericarp. It's like the peel, very thick, leathery, astringent, bitter to the taste. And most people just throw that away, and they eat this nice, juicy, pulpy stuff in the middle. It's fantastic, exquisite. It's got the consistency of a ripe plum, and it's about the size of a tangerine. But this thick rind, that's where the medicinal value is. And what this 1400 text described drying it out, grinding it up, putting it in a tea, and drinking it. And they drink it for the following things that they write down. For intestinal ailments, infections, and then they describe taking that and making a poultice and putting it on the skin for skin infections. That's the earliest recorded use. But there's a lot of other things that go back to places in Indonesia where they found this in caves that were they found in even before about 400 years BC, where they described this is where the dates back to them finding it in the caves. And this isn't recorded, but the hypothesis is they kept it in the caves where medicine was kept.
Wow.
There's a lot of great history with that. Now, you go to any place in Southeast Asia now. You go to Bangkok, you go to Kuala Lumpur, you go and you find mangosteen, and almost guaranteed you're going to find in that same area literature that describes how to take the mangosteen and prepare a tea out of it for medicinal purposes. It's the same way and used the same way now as it was 800 years ago. So what is the mangosteen fruit good for? Well, I've said this over and over again in traditional medicine. It sets the way for what we as scientists do nowadays. It's not as if a scientist wakes up one morning and drinks their chamomile tea and says, I'm going to study inflammation, I'm going to study COX-2 inhibition, and I'm going to pick mangosteen to see if it does it. We're a pretty unoriginal group, we scientists. We always have to see what other people do, and we build on it. And so you build on traditional medicine. So let's take a look. Traditional medicine was used for intestinal ailments like dysentery and diarrhea. Yeah, those aren't so comfortable things to do. And since I'm the outhouse expert, let's talk about that for a second. So we take a look at diarrhea and dysentery, and those are both infectious problems that deal with microbes, other bacteria, or parasites, and also inflammatory problems. So scientists took a look at that and said, is there something in the mangosteen rind that will do that? Well, many of those compounds are either xanthones or proanthocyanidins that are the active ingredients in the mangosteen rind that they studied and found that those xanthones in the rinds are very good at controlling cellular messengers that deal with things like your respiratory system and GI tract. So we talk about it providing a healthy respiratory system because it helps in these times of year where there's allergies. And what are allergies? It's an inflammatory problem. Mangosteen xanthones have been demonstrated in research to help support the body in fighting that. What about diarrhea and dysentery? Well, there's microbes and there's inflammation. Mangosteen has been demonstrated in both in vitro studies and in vivo studies to help reduce the inflammation and the microbial problems associated with that. Also, it helps to support our musculoskeletal system. For those of you who are out there that are actively engaged in FAVEO, you're doing the supplement part, and you're doing the diet part, and you're doing the activity and exercise. So sore muscles is part of it. What's sore muscle? It's damage to your cells, your muscle cells, and your joints, and it causes inflammation, and mangosteen has been demonstrated to be very good at helping to support the body fight inflammation. With regards to skin, wow, that was not a surprise that Glimpse was the second product that XANGO put together, because mangosteen has been demonstrated to be very good at supporting healthy skin and keeping your skin healthy, whether to keep it young looking or to help with damage caused by sunlight and pollution, and to just keep it looking healthy. So, mangosteen's really good when it comes to those areas. Now, what is then this product XANGO? Well, XANGO is basically taking mangosteen, the rind, the fruit with its seeds, and then sticking it in a blender and go, and it usually makes that sound too. And you just mulch this thing up, and it makes this mush. Thank you very much. I couldn't even think of it. This mush of the mangosteen fruit. And then, if those of you have never tasted mangosteen fruit, it tastes fantastic. Have you ever tasted the rind? Not so much. The rind's really bitter and astringent. And so, adding a few other fruit juices to make it taste good, and it's wonderful. Now, what I want you to do is do the following. The next time someone gives you a mangosteen product and says, hey, try this mangosteen product. It only costs $3 and you can buy it at 7-Eleven. Fantastic. I want you to look on the back and look at the number one ingredient and see what it is. Right. If it doesn't say mangosteen, don't worry about it. Because the number one ingredient will be water, or it'll be high fructose corn syrup, or it's going to be grape juice, and the fourth or fifth ingredient will be mangosteen, and they try to market it that. So don't even worry about it. It's not worth your time. The other thing is, now, if it is the first ingredient that says mangosteen, I want you to see what it says. Does it say something like essence of mangosteen? Does it say mangosteen juice? Does it say mangosteen extract, mangosteen concentrate? All of those are ways that not you personally, but companies do to mask what they're doing with the mangosteen. They Frankenstein the fruit. They make it something that it's not. And so they'll take mangosteen juice, which is basically maybe some pulp, but they've got mixed in a lot of other fruit juices. It's not what it means to be. XANGO is the best mangosteen product on the market. The number one ingredient, the mangosteen fruit puree. It's the entire fruit, the rind, the pulp, the seeds, put together into this mush, and then it tastes really, really good, which is hard to do with the rind. That's where all the good parts is. Now, there's the mangosteen juice, or XANGO juice. Now, then there's XANGO Reserve. And what is this? So XANGO Reserve is similar to the juice, and the only difference is you've got approximately 20% more mangosteen within each bottle. So it's more concentrated. Those of you who taste it, it's a little bit more tart because there's more of that you have with the rind. The key to it is it's still mangosteen. That's the big thing. It's mangosteen. That's the number one ingredient. I mention this because If those of you who want to educate yourself, if you have not already done so, please do this. Hopefully you're taking some notes. Write down PubMed, P-U as in public, med. It's the National Library of Medicine search engine. And just search mangosteen. You're going to get 199 searches for mangosteen. The very first search, which is the most recent study that came out, talks about the following. They took, as one lab here in the United States, they took a group of rats, and then they fed them isolated xanthones, gamma and alpha mangosteen. They're probably the two most famous out of the 40-some-odd xanthones and mangosteen, and fed them, administered these tiny aliquots of concentrated xanthones. And then they took the rind and fed that to these little rodents as well, and then measured to see what was the amount of concentration that was absorbed in the bloodstream. And this is the great thing. It was the rind that won. When it comes down to this, the best, and then this is what they actually, I just want to quote apart from the paper. This is actually one of the things they say in the abstract at the end. They say, yada, 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 a lot of technical terms, and then they say food supplements containing mangosteen fruit extracts should be preferred over administration of pure xanthones. And so there's something about the whole fruit. There's something about the rind. There's something about everything that's in that. That's the best way. And someone says, here, take our mangosteen product because it's got mangosteen, and we added, get this, 195% more alpha mangosteen. Fantastic. And I asked them this question, why? Because it's got 195% more alpha mangosteen. Why? Because it's got 195%. Why? There's no scientific benefit to Frankenstein the fruit and add these individual xanthones. Just do it the way God made it. Take the fruit, mulch it up, put it in the mush, and drink it. That's the way to drink it. Don't Frankenstein and try to take and extract this. And the most recent paper published this month here in the U.S., in Florida, mentions that if you're going to take mangosteen, supplement with the whole thing. Don't extract the xanthone and give it that way.
And that was just published.
Just this month. Yeah, just this month. So that's why if you search for mangosteen, it's the very first paper that you're going to see. So there's that. Now, I'm getting a little carried away here. I get a little carried away when I'm going on mangosteen stuff. So there's a lot of other great research that's coming out. So that's kind of the traditional folklore. Now, what are some other things we're studying with mangosteen? Antioxidants is a big one. Now, free radicals is what you hear a lot. Now, science is actually using this other term called reactive oxygen species, ROS. It's the same thing as a free radical. So there are things that can damage your body. We get them through sunlight. We get them through fatty foods. You get them through other forms of radiation. You even actually get them just exercising. It's a process that just happens in our body, and it can be damaging, and it's linked to everything from stress to problems with cardiovascular disease and respiratory problems and even nervous system problems. So what are antioxidants? Antioxidants are natural things our bodies produce, and they squash or they mop up and get these free radicals. And there's been a lot of research that's been done on antioxidants. And there's a lot of actually controversial things in science that say, well, if you just take vitamin E, alpha-tocopherol, a really good antioxidant, well, maybe it's not so good, maybe it is, and they get into all these supplements. So let me tell you, folks, you know when you don't have any problems? Take the whole thing, the whole fruit that's good that way. And you know what's a really good fruit with antioxidants? Mangosteen. And that's what XANGO is. You take the whole fruit, mulch it up, and drink it. It's a fantastic antioxidant. In fact, in the past month, there's been a couple of new papers just showing the antioxidant benefits of mangosteen fruit puree. It's wonderful. Some other things, immune things. And so you take a look at everything from bacterial and viral and parasitic problems. There's this paper recently that talks about malaria. I'm not saying it's going to cure its problem like malaria, because it's not. But they take a look and they use these models. Mangosteen's being used to take a look at that. It's fantastic. There's a lot of wonderful new immune-building properties of mangosteen that's being studied, from bacteria, viruses, and so forth. Now, I'm going to talk about one other study here, and it's one that came out a couple of years ago that was done by Dr. Jay Udani out in California. So inflammation is one that I talked about originally. This is what they've used it traditionally for. So there's a lot of ways that you check to see if a cell is inflamed. And what is inflammation? A cell is damaged. So a cell says, I'm hurt. And what does it do? It writes on a piece of paper a little SOS note that says, I'm hurt. Sticks this SOS note in a bottle and chucks it outside the cell. And that's what it does. And so what happens is that little note floats in your fluids in your body until finally an immune cell gets this bottle, uncorks it, pulls out this piece of paper and says, oh, take a look at that, you guys. Oh, did you see this? Oh, man, a keratinocyte in sector 4G of the epidermis is hurt and it's got some inflammation. We got to do some, let's go find them. Here's another bottle. Oh, here's another bottle. And they follow these messages until they find the cell that's hurt. And then these immune cells start in a process of inflammation. And what are those little SOS notes? We call them inflammatory messengers. Some of them are leukotrienes, some of them are prostaglandins, and some of them are called C-reactive proteins. Now, chronic inflammation, the best incidence of knowing that there's chronic inflammation is to measure the blood, and you see this message, this cellular message called C-reactive protein. It is the best indication of cardiovascular risk, even over cholesterol. So we all know you go to the doctor, and the doctor says, well, your cholesterol is so-and-so, and he's either smiling or not smiling. And if smiling, it means your cholesterol is good. Not smiling means you got to work on something. We all know cholesterol is an indication of cardiovascular disease. An even better indication is C-reactive protein. 0 to 2 is good. 3 to 5 is okay. Anything above 5 is bad, and anything in the teens is really bad. And what that means is you've got a lot of inflammation, and your risk of getting cardiovascular disease is really high. So they've got all sorts of medicines to try to bring this thing down. So Dr. Udani says, well, you know what? Mangosteen's good in inflammation. Why don't we see if it'll help with C-reactive proteins? So they did a humans trial, and what they did was they measured C-reactive proteins in a group of people who were obese. So that means their basal metabolic rate, their body mass index, is above 30. And they took these individuals and said, measure their C-reactive protein, and then said, don't change anything in your diet. And let's measure this again in a few weeks, and then let's see what happens. And some of them were on placebo, which is drinking purple juice, and some of them were drinking different degrees, everything from up to 9 ounces of mangosteen juice twice a day to see if their C-reactive protein levels went down. The interesting thing is, in every single one of the experimental groups, whether they're taking 3 ounces, 6 ounces, or 9 ounces a day, their CRP levels reduced. And so the key to this is there's something in the mangosteen that has some strong anti-inflammatory properties, and in this study reduced CRP levels in each of those 3 experimental studies. So is that new? Well, I was excited about these results, but it's not new because they've been studying, people have been using it for inflammation for a long time. Science is just demonstrating, or science is just proving what we've known for centuries. So those of you who are taking supplements every day, including mangosteen, keep doing it. If you're supplementing and kind of flirting with the mangosteen world and tipping your toe in the pool, jump in and give it a try. It's one of the best supplements on the market, and XANGO has the best mangosteen supplement out there.
Woo-hoo! Yay! You're the expert outside. And everyone knows it. Gordon, I know you wanted to jump in here. You've got such great background and experience in science as well, too. I mean, you've been formulating products for a very, very long time.
Oh, you are overselling this.
Yeah. We've worked together a long time.
Yes, we have.
And although we're not scientists, we do a lot.
I actually have worked with Beverly, and today, just before this meeting, I was teasing Kelly Allred here because I worked with her many years ago, and I found a picture of Kelly in a previous life where we worked together. I think on this, going down this side of the table here, I worked with Beverly and Gary, and Gina worked at Enrich, right?
Yeah, that's good.
All right. Well,
right out of you were taking a
years ago. XANGO's 11 years old this fall, and it's hard to remember that I had a life before XANGO, but I'll probably kind of reference that in kind of dovetailing with some of the things that my brother Dave talked about. Dave is definitely the scientist in the Morton family. If you were a fly on the wall of the Morton family growing up, it was a very herbal gerbil, motivational Zig Ziglar type family. And Dave branched out. He was the black sheep. He went into the science side of things and graduated. Joe and I we scratch our heads. We couldn't figure it out because Dave managed to be like, he was the, magna cum laude or valedictorian in high school. And Joe and I graduated from Zango. We kind of just slipped on through. Yeah, Joe was definitely. But anyway, Dave talked a lot about some great scientific reasons, and I like to call this the mechanics of our product, of XANGO juice. When we get into discussions of xanthones or in vitro, in vivo studies or C-reactive proteins and whatnot, that is some of the mechanics or the science behind our product, which has made it so dynamic. Yeah. I like to talk about the dynamics a little bit of our product, which maybe are the practical but less technical advantages of our product. And there are some beautiful things that we have come to appreciate, those of us who have been here for a while. And those who are new on this call, I will kind of refresh on some of these things, some of the things we've talked about over the years. One of the companies that some of us on this side of the table worked for, a company called Enrich International years ago, and it was a wonderful adventure. Grace Dick is on the line, or a few other folks. They'll smile. But they're...
a bunch of them.
Yeah, there's a few of us. We can have, there's little inside jokes from back in our lives there that always get a smile. But their lead product was a product called Power Trim, and it was a Fedra-based weight loss product. And I think, it was quite a successful product in that company. But the demographic was, on the mechanics side of things, there was a mechanical side of it, but the dynamics, from a dynamics perspective, they had a limited demographic because it was really only targeted at adults, and specifically ones that were healthy enough to take Ephedra.
Exactly.
It was kind of a powerful alkaloid stimulant, and adults that really were interested in weight loss. So that was the sub-demographic of who you were selling that product to. It was, you couldn't give it to children or somebody, I guess, elderly, because you send them to the ER.
Many did go.
Anybody, Ephedra is now
banned.
Yeah, it's not completely banned, but it's pretty controversial. So I'm just talking about a product that I'm familiar with in my past, and some of us in this room. So the demographic was limited, and the other issue from a dynamics perspective is that it came in a capsule, which means that even if kids could take it, they wouldn't. They wouldn't, right? Most kids can't swallow capsules, pills, tablets. It's not really an emotional product. People don't really get emotionally attached to things in capsules, pills, tablets. We are very fortunate. Dave talked about the basic process of getting xanthones to people, and that is really, I think you used the word mulch, and technical terms like, what was the other one he used? I don't know.
Pericarp?
No, you used another word like mulch. It was kind of funny.
Mush.
There we go.
I'm sorry to say that was mush.
Very, very technical monosyllabic word, mush. So, essentially we're taking a whole fruit puree and we're making it into a liquid supplement that, from a practicality standpoint, it's easy to swallow. It doesn't come in a capsule, pill, or tablet. It has a very unique flavor, and because it's a liquid, it's not hard to take. It's easy, and it sits in your fridge. Now, I'll flash back even a little further to another company that Dave and I grew up in a family, and Nature Sunshine Products was a company that my dad worked for years when we were in our formative years. They had a few liquid supplements too that had their own barriers to consumption. One, I don't know if Dave remembers this, it was called rice bran syrup.
Oh my.
So you're thinking on the phone, it's syrup, like maple syrup or chocolate syrup. And no, it was not the type of syrup that is pleasant. It was, it was bad. It tasted like feet, and you just did not want to. You did not want to drink it. Now, it was a liquid supplement, so it was one of the few products in their family that you didn't have to take in a capsule or pill or tablet form. However, it tasted really bad. So even kids were like, oh, yay, we don't have to swallow a capsule. Wow, it tasted so bad. So we enjoy the benefit from a dynamics perspective of a product that is not only easy to take, it's liquid, but it's pleasant. It tastes great. And my kids, they love it. They ask for it by name. My 5-year-old, Joshua, he asks for it by name. Yeah. And we enjoy that benefit. when you have to sell a product where you're having to teach people the capsules, how to swallow capsules and whatnot, sometimes you don't always enjoy the what we take for granted is the dynamics of selling our product. And, we're 11 years into this thing, and we have the benefit now of being able to say, in some ways, I told you so. There was some of the science that my brother David is talking about has been science that has been validating what we knew historically, but these are new studies. Dr. Udani that you were mentioning, for anybody who doesn't know, he is not an employee of XANGO or anything. I think he works for UCLA Medical School.
Yeah,
if I remember
UCLA.
correct. Yes.
UCLA.
Yes, that's what he does for a living, and this is a study that he did. That was something that Dave quoted. So, those of you who are on the line here that are new to the world of XANGO, these are powerful support dialogues to go along with our flagship product, which is our mangosteen juice, XANGO. And when you get into the XANGO world, you do hear a lot about our many wonderful products, but at the core, the anchor product that we have, the one that we've been discussing today, is rooted in some very amazing studies. Not just xanthones, but things like oligomeric proanthocyanidins and tannins and some of the other phytonutrients that appear in our juice. So for those of you who may be new to the world of XANGO, I also challenge you to go to our website. It's a tremendous resource to get additional material. And Beverly, you're throwing to me. I had no.
Well, I just wanted.
Me in, and I really appreciate you.
No, but I really.
Back to you.
No, you're so right. The mechanics and we call it the mechanics and the dynamics. And knowing the mechanics, all the science really helps with that belief. But the dynamics is we are the Mangosteen company. We own it. We were the first to market. And I will be forever grateful for the vision of these 6 men coming together, believing that it could be done against all odds, and stepping out in faith, because that's an entrepreneur that will do that, as everyone on this call is. And so because we are the Mangosteen company, we do have mangosteen formulated in all of our products, and it does add those unique benefits, Dr. Morton, that you even talked about with the extra uber antioxidants. A lot of people will send their formulas to me and say, well, what do you think about this? And I'll say, well, theirs is a good formula. However, I choose mangosteen over whatever they are offering, in our formulations. So we have a great promotion. So, Ms. Gina, would you share that?
Pass the mic.
Pass the mic over to Gina. She is our director over all of our product development with No Nutritional.
So we do have a great promo. For all of you, though, that haven't had a chance to try our XANGO Reserve, again, it has 20% more mangosteen in there. We're doing a special promo where you can buy it for the same price as XANGO juice just this weekend. So for 120 and 120 PV, it's a savings of $25. It's call-in only, so make sure you use the item code 113015.
Can you repeat that?
Yes, it's 113015.
Wow.
Again, the promotion starts now until tomorrow night at midnight. So it's a great opportunity to try Reserve. It is a different flavor, but again, 20% more mangosteen for the same price as juice.
Love it.
Great.
I love it. Woohoo!
Yay.
Well, Miss Kelly, was there anything else you wanted to add, or Mr. Hollister? Yes? And okay. Kelly?
Kelly does, and then we'll post this picture that I have.
Yeah,
20 years
we're
ago.
going to do it. We're going to do it. She's more beautiful today than she was then, and that's because she drinks mangosteen every single day. Yes. And so, Kelly, next week we've got...
Next week's call, we have Dr. Templeman on there, and he's just going to kind of do an overview of all of our kind of our summer
products.
Yes, summer products, and what's going to keep you healthy and keep you protected and all that. So
I love it.
same time, same place.
We love it.
Yeah.
All right, and so y'all keep a good thought. All of everyone traveling around the world. Dr. Morton, thank you for your
My
brilliance.
pleasure. Thank you very much, Beverly.
Who is he is the most famous professor at one of the greatest prestigious medical actually.
Very good. Makes you feel really good if she'd introduce you.
Recovering from
Well, no, I was talking about We love you all. We're thankful for each and every one of you. Thank you for your time today, and make sure that you share these calls because they're all archived on the front page of the website. At the bottom under product training, share this with everyone. And thank you for your time. We love you all. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.